All right, well, if you think I'm breaking hearts, folks, wait till you get a load of my two guests. First and foremost, we're proud and honored to have with us the former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, one Congressman Pete Hoekstra. Hello, Congressman.
Hey, hi, Steve. It's great to be with you again.
Good to be here. You're in New York. You got a big event. You could talk about that in a minute or two. And joining us once again is our friend from the left, Christopher Hahn. You see him on Fox News all the time. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, so we're all ready. Now, I got to tell you, will I take an opportunity to take Obama to task? Yes. But I can't imagine any sane person within the sound of my voice, and that's worldwide, having a defense for this. What possible reason can there possibly be? And we just heard Judge Napolitano say, politically, economically, voting-wise, there's no reason that he could see, and neither could I, that the President of the United States is easing the rules for refugees seeking asylum in the U.S., and it'll now be, hey, well, if you had kind of some tie to terrorism, we'll let you in. Where it used to be, and has been, any tie to terrorism, no matter how remote, you're not coming into this country. So let me start with, the Congressman in your former capacity. Would you be pulling your hair out right now if he did this while you were still chairman of that committee?
I don't have a whole lot of hair to pull out, but so that's a bad.
All right. Well, maybe back then you did.
Yeah, maybe back then.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really no explanation for this. I mean, you've got a resurgent Al Qaeda. You've got all of the stuff going on at the Olympics. You still got the aftermath of Benghazi, and now you've got the president saying, "Hey, we're going to ease the restrictions on this." That makes no sense at all. I have no explanation.
Chris?
You know, I'm dubious on the claim that this is even going on, quite frankly. I don't believe this report. And if it is true, yes, I agree with the congressman. I don't think we want to have people with ties to terrorism going into this country. But, given the way the right has been reacting to everything this president does.
Far-right conspiracy.
Well, I don't know that's a far-right conspiracy. I think that Republicans and people on the far right have been twisting everything this president does. We saw it last week with the CBO report. We've seen it time and time again during this administration. Whatever this president does, there's some kind of evil plot behind it, according to people on the far right. So I don't believe this report, but if it's true, I agree fully with you, Congressman.
All right, well, good. I'm looking as we talk for the actual report itself. Hard not to believe it. First of all, this was written by Newsmax. It was addressed by Republican Senator Roy Blunt on Fox News Sunday, who talked about his concern. Senator Kelly Ayotte addressed her concern. So, this is something that's been addressed by the highest levels. So I'm assuming it's true.
But Steve, they're the highest levels of the same people who were addressing the CBO report.
So you're saying this is made up? It's not true? And the administration has said nothing about it? They're just being quiet.
I'm saying
they're
it's
playing
another
along.
policy that the president's administration has done that the right is now taking and saying, oh, my God, look at how evil this man is. It's probably nothing of the sort.
All right. Well, time will tell, and
yes.
When the egg starts dripping down your face, let me know.
Okay.
Let's talk about this. And here we go back to Eric Snowden. There are documents now that show that the NSA has been aiding the president in his drone attacks, which, by the way, have increased tremendously under the Obama administration. Those evil drone attacks that the left was all up in arms about under Bush. And, Congressman, it's not so much bodies on the ground or intelligence on the ground that's giving targets, but it's the NSA spying that's helping pick drone targets.
It's all of the above. It's NSA surveillance. It's the triangulation of all that metadata. It's boots on the ground. It's CIA, and with that you identify who the bad folks are. And I would guess that, or at least my experience with these drone strikes would be, they've got to be pretty confident about the target before they take a shot.
And Chris, what do you think?
Well, look, the congressman knows more about this than me. He had a very high position in the intelligence community. I take him at his word. My problem with the NSA and the drone attacks is when the NSA and drone attacks are focused on Americans. I didn't like it when Bush was president. I don't like it when Obama's president. You know what, though? If he's using it to wage war against terrorists that are aiming their guns at us, I'm all for it.
Well, I don't have problems with the drone attacks per se. I just have a problem with the hypocrisy of people on your side of the aisle and your side of the media, which is one and the same, who, called Bush a war criminal and, trampling on constitutional rights and a warmonger, et cetera. And the countries we're doing this in don't like it. And really don't like us because of it. But it seems like the left is shut up. Where are all the protests in the streets about this?
I haven't shut up about this. I think that the president has overused the NSA. And I've said it on your program. I've said it on a lot of programs. That said, when you're waging war, there are different rules that are at play. I don't like it when the NSA is turned on Americans, whether they be here or abroad. And I think that there's a lot of explanations that need to be there. I think he's a spy and probably should come back and face justice. I don't trust him one bit. But that said, I'm glad. I don't trust him one bit. But that said, I'm glad we know about what's going on now. Maybe we need to address it a little bit.
All right. Now, the Congressman, there's another report out about an American citizen who's also a member of Al-Qaeda. I guess that means if he was a foreigner member of Al-Qaeda, he could maybe get back into this country. Anyway, he's actively planning attacks against Americans overseas, according to U.S. officials, and the Obama administration is deciding whether or not to kill him in a drone attack, and how to do it legally under its new stricter targeting guidelines, which were established last year. I mean, shouldn't they just... If they know, well, here's a problem that I have. Here's a problem that I do have, and this goes with the NSA program as a whole too. When you have an administration that defends an attack like this, which I wouldn't ordinarily have no problem with, if this guy's doing that, go get him, and defends the NSA, which I have no problem with as long as they're not listening to my phone calls for no reason or anybody's for no reason, but will not put the head of a terrorist underwater who they have in this country, who might know where the next bomb is going off, even if they think he does. Oh, no, that can't reconcile that.
You can't reconcile it. I mean, the targeting of Americans, I agree with Chris. The targeting of Americans, I agree with Chris. I mean, that, you're really kind of crossing the line there. We targeted al-Awlaki. Later on, we targeted another group of folks, and we killed al-Awlaki's son, who was an American citizen, I think actually born in the United States. And he was identified as collateral damage, but the people who took the hit, my understanding was they knew that there was a high probability that when they took the shot, they were going to be killing an American, but they weren't targeting him, and that was okay. Moving this all over and going through the process and starting to target Americans makes me a little uneasy. Even
if they believe or have reason to believe that he's Al-Qaeda and actively planning attacks?
Yes.
All right. Chris, you probably agree.
I agree fully. Look, I believe in the justice system of the American Constitution, the United States Constitution. Look, if the guy's got a gun pointed at an American soldier, that soldier should be able to take him out. But if we could find him with a drone and we could secure this person and bring him to justice, that's what we should do.
Well, what do you mean? So what do you suggest? We bring troops into whatever country he's in and risk their lives to go get him?
Or we try him in absentia here in the United States. There's got to be
But that's not going to stop him from planning an attack.
But there's got to be, well, if you try him in absentia and then you try to capture him, or maybe you wind up killing him in your attempt to capture him. But I have a real hard time justifying taking a drone, an unmanned drone, and killing an American abroad.
But Chris wants to try him in a U.S. court. I mean, you would try him in a secret court, in a tribunal, right?
We, going through the FISA court or some kind of judicial process, I think is absolutely necessary. To me, it doesn't make a difference whether it's a drone, whether it's a piloted plane, or whatever tool you decide to use. For an American, there should be some kind of identified and known process. It very much needs to be secret, but there should be a process.
Congressman, great to see you in person, and that's Congressman Pete Hoekstra. Chris Hahn is sticking around. We'll be joined by Judith Miller when we return. Talk a little Iran. That's a whole nother story on this. Yeah, but it's really getting crazy. And they have a video out you're going to see on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax Television.
The Steve Malzberg Show.